Hello everyone, welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. This week, Clement, what next? I am Scott Carney, and joining me tonight for which will be a bit of a therapy session, I'm not going to lie, is Nicky Oven. Nicky, how are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. Back at work. Rangers ruined the weekend. No surprises. It's funny, Scott, you and I have laughed a wee bit last couple of pods I've been on. I think you've quoted me as you've had a lot to get off your chest. Tell you what, see, being a Rangers fan, you need to have a big, broad chest because you've got hunters to get off it all the time. So, no, I'm looking forward to having a chat, mate. It was a really poor performance yesterday, but I'm sure you and I will be able to dissect the result and try and have a bit of a chat about what we think's best next for our club.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really what it's going to be all about, mate. And I kind of had my say yesterday after the match, and after sleeping on it, what tends to happen and what's happened really in the past 2 years. Bit of a sob story, I get this, but since my wee man's been born, when Rangers do have a messy weekend or they try and ruin my weekend, I tend to be okay after I see him. It tends to just not last as long as it used to. And today dropped him off at the childminders and then went about my day, and it consumed me yet again. Even he can't get me out of the rut that I find myself in with Rangers just now, and it's a sign of where we are. Really is a sign of where we are. We're going to cover a lot of bases tonight. There is no set agenda. I said to Nicky before we even started, I'm not going to set one. We're just going to have a chat about yesterday, about the performance levels, about Clement, about where we're going, about what we need to do, what we think we need to do, try and right the world, really, in terms of Rangers right now, because I get to the point where can we continuously have the same agenda over and over again on a podcast, so we might as well just let things flow and see what happens. But yesterday, Nicky, the performance, I think, didn't surprise anybody, and that in itself is a problem, a real problem that we kind of expected it. We kind of expected Rangers to not be able to take advantage of closing the gap to 3 points. Yes, we'd have still been behind. Yes, there's still a lot of work to do, but it would have gave a wee bit of a feel good around the club, around the squad. Would have bought Clement a bit of brownie points. But ultimately, made the performance that we've seen, we can't be shocked in it. This is what we do.
It is, mate, and it's a trajectory that we've been on for a while, Scott. I think if you think back to where it all went wrong last year, we haven't really broke that cycle. I think a lot of us maybe blindly had a bit of hope that with the summer, with Clement getting a full 6-8 weeks, whatever it might be, with him being able to get bodies out the door, the old wait until he gets his own players, we had a bit of blind hope, didn't we, that maybe it would change. And reality is it's plateaued. In fact, Scott, you could even argue that it's get worse. You could actually argue we are worse now than that period at the tail end of last season where we were playing dead rubbers and those infamous games at Ross County and Dundee where we ultimately blew any chance, any slight bit of hope that we had of maintaining a title challenge into the split and up to the final day. For me, Scott, the one word I would use is embarrassing. Genuinely, I am fed up and embarrassed by this mob. We get given a gift on Saturday. Now, Scott, you and I have supported Rangers for a long time, and anybody who supports Celtic on the other side of the city will know that traditionally you don't get gifts that often when Rangers and Celtic play at home. You expect them to run over the top of teams. And I fully expected Celtic to do that, right? You look at their home record, let's face it, their record against Aberdeen, you almost bank that as they'll gub them, it'll be 3 points, we'll be playing catch-up. We get a gift on Saturday to claw back, not only in Celtic, but in Aberdeen as well, who bizarrely have somehow managed to get towards the top of the table and above us 7 or 8 games in. I would be embarrassed as a professional sportsman, mate, right? A professional sportsman who your career, your job, your livelihood is about playing football and trying to win games of football and win trophies. I would be embarrassed, right? If I get given that gift, I played for Rangers And I went, honestly, do you think there's any player in our team that went home and looked themselves in the mirror and thought, do you know what? I gave my all today. Not a single one of them.
No
And
chance.
that for me is embarrassing, mate. That's embarrassing for a professional sportsman to be in that position. And us as fans should be embarrassed as well, because it's just another instance, mate, of us blowing it. And I sent out a tweet before it. With that gift, I wanted to see an intent. I wanted to see tempo. I wanted to see energy. I wanted to see desire. The 3 or 4 things that you would expect to see when you've been given that gift and an opportunity to close the gap and bring it back within your hands, right? 3 points of a gap. What we seen, mate, was just powder puff again. We lack so much physicality. We lack pace. We lack creativity. And see, beyond anything else, Scott, we seriously lack quality right throughout the team, mate. We seriously lack it. And I don't know about you. See, 5 minutes in, I could have told you how that game was going to play out. Genuinely, I could have told you exactly how that game was going to play out, because we started passing it about at the back, pedestrian, what we've seen for 90%, 95% of the last 3 years since we won the title, right? That is the style of football we've been subjected to under Gio. We've seen it under Beale. We've seen it under Clement. We've had wee purple patches here and there, but ultimately that's what we've been subjected to, mate. And it's just simply not good enough, mate. But as you say, I think the biggest thing, embarrassing is the word I would use, but ultimately not surprised, which I think is the phrase you used.
Yeah, and I agree. When we started watching the game, I was, say, within 5-10 minutes, you're watching it and going, right, well, it's exactly the same approach that we're having to any other game that we've seen under Philippe Clement. The kind of stories or the tale that he was spinning is that he was going to have these 2 weeks with the team, where we're going to come back, we're going to be improved, all the stuff that you'd probably expect a manager to say, but ultimately it was all hot air, because we're still set up in a way that doesn't suit what we are, what football we're playing, in terms of who we're playing against as well and what league we play in. This possession based, pass it about the 2 centre halves at the back, with Tom Lawrence coming deep to pick up the ball from the centre halves. Who made that up? Why are we doing that? Why is that happening? I would need some expert to convince me that that's the right approach to have with games like this. And ultimately, possession means absolutely nothing if you can't score a goal, and that's what we are. We don't have anybody that's willing to take the game by the scruff of the neck and to dictate play. We are not a good team. We really are not a good team, and the mediocre again for me is not even nearly right. I think we are worse than that. I don't think we are mediocre. I do think we are worse. And yesterday, even after the game, and I sat for my post match reaction after it, it was just everything kind of coming to the front with me. And I still say I stand by what I said. We're at the point now where I don't see how Philippe Clement can possibly change what he's doing, because this is his philosophy, this is his style, this is what he believes, this is what he's drilled into these players for the past 12 months. He's not going to now all of a sudden rip up the tactic book and start again. So ultimately, what you are seeing is all you are going to get. There is going to be no improvement unless we sign some world beaters in terms of players. And right now, who would come to us? I don't know. And there's not many that would be thinking this is an attractive place to come and play football. So we are at the point where we've got a manager who thinks this is acceptable, thinks he's making progress, will batter stats about possession into you after a game, after such a poor performance, and we've all just to accept it. And that's at the point where I've not seen a lot of people in the comments and whatever else have. The media and other fans' media really haven't probably went as far as the ones that I've caught up on anyway, didn't really go as far as me yesterday. But I'm at the point where I'm going, what is the point in us just waiting for the inevitable to happen? I understand the kind of situation that there is surrounding the club right now in terms of where the board are, but I can't look at the manager and look at what he's putting out and think, yeah, you're the guy. Ultimately, and I'm interested to get your opinion on it. Ultimately, I think it is not if he goes, it's when.
I agree, mate. I think we've entered that old scenario of we're simply just kicking the can further down the road now a wee bit. I think I spoke on Friday night when we obviously done the live pod, and I'd made a point about I felt the support was quite 50-50 split. I think a lot of that was guys right on the cusp of dropping either into Clement out or backing the manager. And the next handful of results could possibly sway these individuals. If we went on a good run of results, we get results at Rugby Park and Europe, Pataudry, to name a few, then maybe people would have started or moving back into the kind of Clement and back the manager camp. But I felt like it was going to be an easier transition. I think a lot of people were at that point where they're almost just waiting for the next slip up to really cement the camp that they're in, and I think that's what's happened. For me, I'm probably with you, Scott. I'm pretty much done with Clement. I was probably one of the ones who was on the fence. I was probably still in the back the manager piece more than anything, certainly more than Clement out prior to the game. But I think I've kind of been violently shoved over the fence into the Clement out by Cyril Dessers and James Tavernier. They're the culprits who pushed me. But no, listen, I am, on a serious note, I'm the same as you. I'm seeing nothing at the minute. I'm seeing no style. I'm seeing no improvement in players. I'm seeing no structure. We don't dominate games. Honestly, I can't remember the last time Rangers dominated a game from start to finish. Now, I could get getting beat at Rugby Park if our XG was 4.5 and Robbie McCrory plays the game of his life. But it's not, right? We are not even creating chances. We are miles away from a team that is showing up at Rugby Park and putting them to task, right? And they maybe get a wee breakaway up the park. And sometimes this happens in football, right? You just can't get over the line and teams hit you with a sucker punch, right? But that's the absolute opposite of what we are seeing at the minute, Scott. I think about the 4 pillars that Clement talks about: technical, tactical, physical. I think mental is the other one. Physical I spoke about on Friday night as well. It's the easiest one to tick. Mate, get them running in pre-season, build up their fitness. I don't know what he's doing. I do not see that. I do not see a team that is fitter than the Geo team. I do not. In fact, they're definitely not fit on the Geo team, right? Because the Geo team that ran to the European final was twice as fit as this mob. But I see a team that is nowhere near as, or sorry, not nowhere near, but is on par with the physicality of Michael Beale. And Clement had plenty to say about Michael Beale, by the way, and the physicality of the players.
He did.
The tactical piece, I don't see nothing. We are easy to play against. We don't have any patterns of play. We don't know how to attack teams. People are getting on at Cyril Dessers yesterday, saying he doesn't have a clue. Our front 6 yesterday didn't have a clue. See, as soon as we got over the halfway line, we did not know what we're doing. I don't know what we're practicing in training. Did we just practice John Suter and proper passing the ball back and forth and then they ping it 60 yards? It generally must be, because that's the only output that we seem to see on a Saturday or a Sunday. We don't seem to have any idea of what to do with the ball when a Barron, a Diamandi, a Lawrence, Barami, Cherny, whoever it is, starts breaking into their half. And we're so slow and ponderous that we just allow teams to reset. And then we can't break them down, right? We're not clever enough. We've not got the quality. So the problem I have, Scott, is there's a lot of noise at the minute about we can't just keep sacking managers. Will a new manager just do the exact same? My kind of view on this is, you can. See if he's not doing what we expect and the board expect, you have to sack him, right? Unless there's been some sort of shift and we're happy finishing second, the board have made some strategic agreement that we will continue to finish second and they're happy with Clement finishing second, right? Rangers fans will never accept that, right? They will never shift away from that. Rangers fans want to win the league. They want to win a Scottish Cup. They want to win a League Cup. Christ, they want to win bloody Europa League. I know, right? Even though that's probably beyond their capabilities. But Rangers fans will not accept that. I see no evidence at the minute to stick with Philippe Clement. I don't see the improvement. I don't see the style of play. The biggest challenge for me at the minute, Scott, is he does not seem to know how to change things when it's going poorly as well. I'll take yesterday as a perfect example, Scott. We sat and watched him huff and puff in a 4-2-3-1 for 60 or 70 minutes. He brought Nico Raskin on, like for like Connor Barron. He brought Igaman on, like for like Cyril Dessers. And he brought Kieran Dowell on, like for like Tom Lawrence. Why are you not changing it, right? Why do you not go two up top? Why do you not put on a winger and maybe move Barami inside? Why do you not do something, right, that's a wee bit out of the ordinary, that just changes the dynamic and makes Kilmarnock think, do you know what, they've actually changed. Actually, they've now got two up top, or he's moved out wide, or he's come in to try and affect in the pitch, whatever it might be. Just get them thinking, because all Kilmarnock done was, he's come on for him, he's come on for him, he's come on for him. Same as it always is. We'll continue to do what we've been doing, we're successful at, and we'll look for that sucker punch, mate. So, I don't know, are the players not getting it? I don't know. Is Phil Clement some philosopher that has all these great ideas and we just don't have the players to do it? I very much doubt it. And the argument back on that would be, see if the players aren't getting it, take them out. If Cyril Dessers is not doing what you're wanting him to do, take him out the team. If James Tavernier's not doing it, Barron, Raskin, Suter, whoever it might be, are not doing the things that you're wanting them to do and you believe will win you football games, then take them out the team, mate. Because see, if you don't, you'll lose your job. And that's rapidly where we're approaching, Scott.
I think he's already there, mate. I do. I think the people that the argument, that will get put forward about we can't keep sacking managers, about who you're going to get, if that's your only reason to keep a manager in his job, then that is not a good enough or credible reason to keep the manager in his job. Clement has failed at whatever he's trying to do. The tactics make absolutely zero sense. The adaptability, there is none. There is no plan B. There is not even a plan A that I can see. That it's just go out on the park, and when things clearly don't go well and aren't working after, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, when the team realise, oh, hang on a minute, that this possession-based football, and the players will be noticing, the players are not daft, they will be noticing themselves that it's not working. We just crumble away. We crumble away to this hoofball, to this lacklustre passes down the wing that hope somebody will get on the end of it, to punting the ball to Cyril Dessers, who couldn't do anything really. And he was so bad yesterday for the first half, especially, where I thought, I can't actually put a message in the chat. I was like, I honestly can't put up with the guy anymore, and I really can't. It's where I am. A few stats that I want to bring up, Nicky, as well, is Kilmarnock have won one game of the first 7 games of the season. Before yesterday's game, they'd conceded 17 goals in the games, and they've also got beat 3-0 off St Johnstone at home. St Johnstone we played St Johnstone, and I'm not just saying this for effect. St Johnstone were one of the worst teams I've seen in a long time. They were awful, really, really bad, a terrible, terrible team. They're not in a good state at all, but they managed to beat Kilmarnock 3-0. Also, Nicky, we have scored 1 goal in the first 4 away games of this season. We are joint bottom of that particular stat with Ross County. That's not just bad. That is what you said. That's embarrassing for a Rangers team, for that to come out, for us to have that stat after this stage of the season, to have 1 goal away. That's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And it's a clear indication to me that things are not working. Whatever Clement is trying to do doesn't work, and we can't continue to pretend that it's okay. You also mentioned a point, mate, about about the board accepting second place and whatever else, and that's another thing that I've never brought up in the pod until tonight. I'm having the real fear that our standards of our club are dropping to a point that we'll never be able to get it back to where it should be. People are beginning to accept this. We're beginning to accept that this is okay. The fact that people weren't even shocked at how piss poor Rangers were yesterday, and I'm starting to think, hang on, where is our standards of the club going? What are we doing? Would we have accepted a draw yesterday and went, oh, well, we're pissed yesterday? Sorry, the gap's still 5 points. Would we have accepted that? I mean, for me, that's just you cannot accept that. There's no rhyme or reason to accepting that. I will never let myself become that, because that will no longer be Rangers. That will no longer be what the club that I've grown up and lived my life by. And that is the biggest fear that I have with the current board. I've also seen things about who's going to appoint the manager. I don't really need to worry about that in the nicest possible way. I'm a football fan. See the board problems. I pay my money. I do everything that I do for this club. The board are the ones that need to sort this out. The board are the ones that have kept themselves in the position that they are in. They've not wanted to remove themselves. It's up to them to sort it. It's not up to me to think, oh, I'll just put up with this shambolic team, this shambolic manager, all because the board can't pull their finger out and do their jobs. And that's the point that I'm getting at. That's why yesterday that I was like, enough's enough. There is no point in us continuing down this road with this manager who won't change, who isn't changing, who's not improving players, who's not improving any sort of football that we're seeing on the pitch, is quoting stats to me after a possession stats to me after a performance like that against Kilmarnock. He knows himself his time is up. He knows that this hasn't worked here. I have been ultimately let down. And yes, the board, money, etc. Yeah. He's still bought these players and he's still the guy that's picking the team. He's still the guy that's putting the players on the pitch. And there's still players playing for us that shouldn't be there. It's as simple as that. Pause for a break, mate. Sorry, I went on a wee bit there. I know I unravelled quite a lot there, Nicky, but it's been building up all day.
No,
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like this whole argument of who's going to do the appointment. That isn't for us. That's not my. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of football. I'm a fan of Rangers playing football. I'm not a fan of boardroom meetings. That's nothing to do with me. And you say, oh, we have to look at the bigger picture. Not for me. I don't think you need to look at any picture. As far as I'm concerned, the manager has failed, and we are regressing. We are not going forward. In my opinion, we are worse. The squad's worse than it was. The football was worse than it was. We are clueless. We are rudderless. We are leaderless. We have nothing in the team. A team of... I've never ever seen a Rangers team, mate, ever, that is nothing. I mean, like nothing at all. There's not one player that I look at in that team that goes, you are the guy to inspire me. There's not one of them. They're just... It's just a mess from top to bottom. And I just feel like the first thing that you can do is change the manager. Yes, we're back at the start. Yes, we're back at that drawing board. But ultimately, I believe it's a change that should already have been made.
Yeah, agreed. I think just on your stats, Scott, another one I've seen, by the way, that is a massive eye-opener is we've played 8 games this year and we have a goal difference of +7. Bearing in mind, we won one of those games 6-0.
Oh.
You take that game out, we've played 7 games and have a goal difference of 1. Right? That's alarming. Like, that's seriously alarming.
Well, I also seen as well, I seen comparisons of the game yesterday and the game that Michael Beale was in charge for. And that it's exactly the same. And we were all screaming for Beale to get sacked. Just because Clements signed an extra year's extension and we can't keep changing managers, that's not a reason to keep the manager in his position.
No, agreed. I think on your other point, Scott, the second best thing, I could almost accept this, right? And let me divulge in this before anybody thinks I'm accepting second best, because I'm not. I think there needs to be a realisation of where Celtic are, where we are, the finances they've been subjected to over the years that we were missing, and in the Champions League, and particularly the new format this year, the rebuild we've been on, COVID, everything else, right? There is a massive disparity there financially. Celtic can go and blow us out the water when it comes to transfer fees, etc. And you see that, right? You see there's a gap there. But that was the same when we came out the lower divisions. There was a massive gap there. And I think at that point, I don't think there would have been anybody realistically in our boardroom that would have said, I know we joked about going for 55, right? And we were all kicking about with loaves of bread on our head, right? For Mark Warburton, right? But I think realistically, anybody with a few brain cells probably thought, we're not going to win the league this year, right? But we'll build towards it. And I almost go back to when Gerrard came in. Again, Gerrard's probably key thing was win the 55th title, stop it before they do 10 in a row, right? That was probably his key objectives. Again, I don't think he was expected to win the title that first year. Yes, we front-loaded investment to help him. But the massive difference with that, Scott, and we talk about it a lot, is we've seen something building, right? As soon as Gerrard came in, he got a pre-season, we looked structurally sound, right? We brought in better players, but we looked structurally sound. You think about those European qualifiers. We were playing games over in Russia with 9 men. and we still weren't getting pulled about the park. Those 9 men were still in a structure that Ufa, or whoever it was who were playing, I can't remember their name, found it really difficult to break down. And that progressed and progressed and progressed. And what you found was every single year we fell short, right? Of course we did, right? We didn't have the depth, we didn't have the quality, but every year we get better, right? We utilised the transfer window, we brought in more quality, we brought in more strength and depth. Everybody another 12 months under their belt of the shape, the structure, what Gerrard wanted us to do, and Beale and McAllister and everybody else in his backroom team. And you've seen that progression every year, right? Because we were battering teams, right? Yeah, we maybe fell away when it came to the push and shove at the end of the season, right? Because we didn't have the stamina or the longevity in that squad yet. But we were battering teams. In fact, we gave Celtic a couple of doings. We look a million miles away for getting Celtic a doing at the minute. In fact, we look a million miles away for going to Rugby Park and getting Kilmarnock a doing. But my point is, we've seen that progression. And if the board have listen, we're not going to win it this year, but here's our 3-year plan. We will win it in 3 years, and here's what we're going to do. Here's the milestones that we're going to hit to do that. We're going to bring in X, Y, and Z. We're going to do this. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. But we're just not seeing that. And that's why I'm probably with you, mate, which is we need to just stop kicking the can down the road until this gets worse. And then we need to part ways with Philippe Clement, and then the new manager hunt starts. And by that point, who knows where we are, right? I'm not even going to sit here and say we could be 12 points behind Celtic. We could be 10 or 12 points behind Aberdeen by this point, the way we're going at the minute.
Easy.
So I don't mind if the board go, there's a transitional period and we need to put the building blocks and we need to get the foundations in place to make us successful and go and win the title and challenging the cups and challenging Europe. But we're not building foundations at the minute, right? We're trying to build on top of nothing at the minute, and it's just falling away every second or third week. It's collapsing. The board for me, I mean, there's a lot of things need to happen. The board again, it just raises further question marks, Scott, as to what has gone on behind this contract extension. I could totally understand this contract extension if it was in February, March last year, right? Because Clement and this team's trajectory was boom, 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 right? Every week we were getting better. We were on 12 and 13 and 14 game winning runs. Give him a new contract then. Aye, listen, this guy started on fire. This looks brilliant. He's improving players. Our shape looks better. We're winning games consistently. Fine. But when you collapse at the end of a season and then you renew his contract in August, surely somebody in that boardroom is putting their horn up and going, guys, this might not go the way we hope it goes, right? We've seen it before. We've seen it with Gio. We've seen it with Michael Beale. We've seen it now with Clement in hindsight. But surely somebody's putting their horn up and saying, this might not go the way we expect it to go, right? We've kind of seen the collapse and the plateau at the end of last year. We know this summer has not been great in terms of our recruitment and who's coming in and out of the buildings. Coppin spoke about it, right? There's guys in there who have been told to leave this club and they're hanging on to a wage, and you can see that, right? The evidence is there on Sunday. There's guys going through the motions. They're not giving a fuck, right? For lack of a better phrase. Guys are going through the motions. Surely somebody is going, this might not go well, right? We could get a shock in Europe. We don't make the Champions League, restricts our budget. We're not been able to bring in the players that we want on our shortlist. And if we start the season slow, we've seen we've seen what happens, right? Fans revolt. Fans will turn on fans will turn on players, and the manager. And we might need to pay this guy off. I am praying that as part of this contract extension, I've read a few rumours today that Clement was a wee bit peed off about goalposts being moved and budget and everything else. And maybe that's why they came to an agreement on a new contract. I am praying that there is something in there, a clause that is if Clement is approached by another club, he can kind of go. But likewise, if things go south, we can remove him without having to pay 3 or 4 years worth of wages, right? I'm praying. I don't put a lot of faith in this board implementing such clause into his contract, but don't write checks you can't cash, as the old saying, mate. Don't sign guys on 4-year contracts. If it goes south, you can't get rid of them. because that is the way it looks. So for me, Scott, I don't know whether we'll sack him just now, to be honest. I think there's a lot of movement in the boardroom before that happens. That's just my opinion, right? I don't see Gilligan taking initiative in sacking Clement, because I think Gilligan has made it quite clear that he does not want to be the long-term chairman of Rangers. They are looking for a replacement there. We've still got the CEO vacant position. I expect that if we had a CEO in position right now, he would be working his way down his managerial shortlist of guys and maybe putting the feelers out there, but ultimately we don't have one. So we need to, I've said this for a while, mate, we need to stop penny pinching in key department areas. We need to pay the dough and get a guy in who's going to chair this club and give us direction and strategy of how we become successful again. We need a CEO who does the same, right? I don't want us shopping about the bargain basement of St Mirren and Dundee. No disrespect to these guys. Go and get a guy who knows what he's doing, right? Go and get a guy who knows what he's doing, because gain this guy an extra 100, 200 grand a year, it could save you 5-10 million quid a year in player transfers or winning trophies or going further in Europe or whatever it might be, because you have a proper structure. So yes, I think I am probably at the position where his position is quite untenable now. I don't see this improving. I think he will probably get results, but I think once fans' minds are kind of made up, I only see one outcome. Do I think it will happen in the next week or so? Probably not, mate. Even a defeat at Pataudry, I think things will get toxic. But I think Rangers have probably got quite a good excuse to stand behind, in that they want to make the boardroom appointments before they think about the longer term direction of the club and who's going to take us there, would be my view.
So I get where you're coming from in terms of that. I do get like we need somebody in charge in order to make the right decisions, but and I know this is negative from me, and it's quite a defeatist attitude, but say Thursday night doesn't go to plan, say we drop points with St Mirren, and say we get beat off, Aberdeen, and we still don't have a CEO in place, what, we just accept that? We just go, cool, no bother, we'll just carry on because we've not got a CEO in place.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit that I'm trying to get at the most, is I don't think it matters now. I really don't think it matters. I think you can see that there's yesterday wasn't only just bad, it was everything bad about this whole tenure of Clement that we've seen. It is everything about the kind of core, the rotten mentality that seems to soak through this squad for years now. There is something just there, and we're left with a bunch of guys that really have got nothing about them. Got a manager that's lost, in my opinion. I don't think he even knows what he's trying to do now. We're just in a place where I just can't see how you can continue on. I can't have any faith in him at all. That he could be gone by next Wednesday. He could be gone by next Thursday. By the time next Thursday comes, we're going to have played St Mirren and played Aberdeen, and that's what I mean. So if Thursday doesn't go well, Sunday doesn't go well, Wednesday doesn't go well, then what? We just pretend that it's okay, just because we don't have a CEO. And for me, I hate saying it, there is a real possibility that we get scalped when we go to Pataudry. I mean, Aberdeen will be, their fans will be as well. They will be seething for it, mate. They will be so unbelievably up for it that they've got a wounded Rangers coming to them, and we don't have any fight in us. We've got no leaders in the team. We've got no leaders in the club. Never mind the team. I don't understand how he stops this rut, because I always said, well, come on, show me something. Give me something to make me believe that you're the guy. And I've seen wee bits. We've seen and I'm talking tiny bits. I've not seen enough to think you're definitely the guy, but I've seen wee bits where I've went, okay, right, fair enough. Malmo, for example, you're like, fair enough. There's something in that. But what we've witnessed after that is just a complete regression in this team. There is nothing in the team to suggest that Clement is getting anything of a response out of these players. When you're rewarded the gift, as you mentioned to me, as you're rewarded that gift on a Saturday to go into your game on a Sunday, as a Rangers fan, you should be absolutely buzzing about it. But nobody that I spoke to was. My comment in the group chat was don't mess this up, Rangers. Just don't mess it up. That doesn't show that you've got real faith. I should be going, right, Rangers, go out there, do the business. You're going to win this game. We're going to be back to 3 points. But I was going, Rangers, do not mess this up. But I wasn't shocked when they did. I don't think any of us were. You've also seen amongst fans, mate, that nobody's arguing with each other. Everybody knows what they're seeing. Your eyes don't lie with what you're watching on the football pitch. We can all see it now in Clement. The stuff that he says as well, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I think he generally just makes things up and hopes he can get away with it. I know there's a certain language barrier with him, but some of the stuff he says, I'm like, surely even you don't believe that. That's kind of the way I'm getting at with him now. And yeah, mate, I just think it's time. I do. I just think it's time, and I don't really have much else to say. I can't just be like, oh, we need a CEO, and I can't just accept that, and because we'll just fall further and further and further behind. And either way, look, the season's a write off now. We've got absolutely zero chance, in my opinion, as it stands on the 21st October to win anything. Honestly, I can't see Rangers winning a raffle, never mind winning a cup or winning the league. I just can't see how it's possible under the current squad, the current manager. I just don't see how it's going to happen. And we're left in a position where there's nobody in the position that needs to be there to make the call to remove him from his position. I don't think he'll go anywhere, but we're now at the point where, I mean, he's one. That's what I mean. I'm saying now, like, he's one win away from everybody saying he's to go. Everybody's saying he's to go, but for some reason, we're all kind of muted about it. Do you know what I mean by that? We're all kind of like muted about it. And I don't know if that's because of the current state of the club. I don't know. What do the club do, mate? What do we do? Do we remove Clement? Do we decide to keep him for a further year and say we're getting rid of him at the end of the season and start the search for a new manager and just try and cut as much money back as we possibly can to give us the best point of rebuild? Honestly, I'm at the point where I don't know where we are. And I mentioned it yesterday, mate. It does feel a bit like the club's in free fall.
It is, and listen, I agree with everything you say, right? This piece about not going well midweek in Europe, not going well with St Mirren, not going well with Aberdeen. What the hell do you do? Mm-hmm. I guess and I agree, right? If they 3 results do not go well, then Clement should be removed from his position, if not already, if he doesn't already merit that based on what we're kind of witnessing so far this year. The biggest challenge for me is, would you trust the guy sitting in our boardroom right now to get the next appointment right?
Oh,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And that's a challenge for me because I think I look back. Gio was successful in Europe. He won the Scottish Cup. His football was horrendous, but I do think there was a wee bit of timing issue with Gio and Postecoglou and where Celtic were at the time. Michael Beale was a complete and utter failure. Clement looks as though he's going down that route as well now. We need a better structure in place, mate. In terms of an organisation, we need a better, because I look at Rangers at the minute, right? And Rangers, everybody goes about, oh, Rangers, we've not got any money. We've spent money, right? We have spent big money over the last 3 or 4 years. We have spent money. We've not spent it well at all. I mean, I look at even Sunday's game there, Scott, right? And I go, we've spent the best part of 12 or 13 million quid on 3 guys who can't influence a game at Rugby Park. Diamandi's the best part of 5 million quid. Cortez is the best part of 4 million quid. Can't keep himself fit. And Barami, whilst he's shown flashes, cost 3 to 4 million quid, right? So you're talking 12 or 13 million quid there on 3 players. And none of them can make an impact at Rugby Park. Why are we spending 4 and 5 million quid on guys who can't impact big games of football? Right, Diamandi's hot and cold all the time. I like Diamandi. I do. I watch him, and there's things that I like about him, and I've maybe given a wee bit of the benefit of the doubt. And when he's playing with guys who are maybe not quite on his wavelength, or maybe not doing the movement, he's maybe kind of been pulled. He's maybe had reins put on him a wee bit, because I think when he was over in Denmark, he was more attacking. But he's no influence enough for me. Cortez, even without the injuries, I'm scratching my head going, £4 million? Really? Is he a £4 million player? A £4 million winger in Scotland? I'd be expecting a £4 million winger to be getting double figures, goals and assists out wide every single year consistently. Does Cortez strike me as the guy, even without his injuries? Probably no. Barami as well, again, argument. He's seen wee flashes. He looks tidy. Maybe he's out of position. I don't know. But I just go, what if we have a lack of funds, we need to be spending it better. For me, I look at all the successful teams over the years, whether it's Premier League, whether it's Champions League, whether it's winning World Cups, Euros, whatever it might be, they always have a solid spine. They have a solid centre half. They have a solid centre mid. They have a top quality striker. See, if we've got £12 million lying about, why are we not going out and spending £4 or £5 million in a centre half? Why are we not spending £4 or £5 million on a six who can dictate these games and will completely dominate the midfield where we have so little control? And Christ alive, why are we not signing a striker who can trap the ball and put the ball back in the net? Don't understand it. Our strategy at the minute is just all over the place. And that's why I don't buy in too much of we've got no money. We've spent money. We've just spent it appallingly, and we're continuing to spend it appallingly. Yes, some of these players may come good, and they're the right profile, and maybe they'll come on and make us big bucks. But at the minute, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it at all. And I was the same as you, Scott. Seen Celtic result. Normally, I'd go on WhatsApp slagging some of my Celtic supporting pals. I just thought, no chance, right? Because I didn't have a single bit of confidence that we would go and put Kilmarnock away. I said it on Friday night. I was nervous for the game. I thought we might get over the line, but I was in nowhere near confident enough to think I can go and give people a bit of a ribbon here, because I thought I'll just keep my powder dry, because likelihood is I'm going to be getting a ribbon come 5 o'clock on Sunday. And it's the case. But Clement, I think he looks lost. I agree with that. He looks lost. And do you know the thing, actually, just I'd laugh about it, because if I don't laugh about it, I'd greet. I couldn't believe he had a go at Casemiro for that goal at the back, right? And I'm going, after what we have been subjected to a right back doing for the last 6 months consistently, you've had a go at the right back who was on the park for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think his position, I do think his position is untenable. I've said that. I think when fans get to this point, you're not going to win them back. And unless it's a miracle, you're not going to win them back. And I do feel Clement's at that position now, and I think he'll probably know that. Do I trust the Rangers board in its current state to pick his successor and not make an arse of it? No. For me, I don't know what we do. We massively need to accelerate the appointment of a CEO. If his duty is to appoint the new manager, then we need to massively accelerate the appointment of him. We need to stick our hands in our pockets, and we need to get a guy in pronto who can agree what is the long-term structure and strategy of this football club, and who do we want to do it, and start drawing up a short list, and then we move on and make a decision on Clement, mate. Because if we make a decision just now, mate, what happens, right? Do we end up with Stephen Davis? Do we pull him at the Sky Sports studio and go, you've got a gig for a few weeks again until we get a CEO sorted? I don't know what we do, mate. And this is the problem. This is quite a unique situation, because the boardroom is such a shit show at the minute, and the manager and the players and what we're seeing on the park is a shit show. It's almost like, what one do we fix first? And I'm not sure what the right answer is, to be honest.
For me, as I say, I'll always be a football fan first, mate, so it has to be the manager first, because I believe genuinely anybody could come in and put a bit of structure behind it, change something, do something different, because I know, and we all know as we talk, and people who tune into this podcast that have watched us for so long and will know that Clement will do exactly the same thing. Thursday's a bit of an anomaly because it's Europe, so yes, but Sunday against St Mirren will be exactly the same. It'll be Cyril Dessers leading the line. There'll be no change. It'll be the same approach. There'll be no formation change. There'll be no tactical change. There'll be nothing. It's going to be exactly the same, and we're at the point where we all know it's going to end. It's like, I can't get my feelings swaying away from the fact that the end of the day, it's done. Clement, if any hope in hell, in my opinion, has to completely tear up what he's been doing with this squad for the past 12 months and do something completely different. Do something that we all kind of look at and go, where did that come from? What is that? Show that he's got something about him, because this only will end one way. It really is as simple as that. Nicky, that will do us for tonight, mate. Good to come and get a few things off our chest. I'm not really sure if it's made me feel much better, and it's because I'm at the point where I'm sick of it, mate. I'm at the point where I'm sick of every year for the past 100 years I've had to sit here and have this conversation at this time of the year that I don't think the current manager's the guy to take us forward. And yeah, unfortunately, I believe that we're back at the start again, and the club, as I say right now, is in a really sorry state. And whoever they are, wherever they sit on the board, and the guys that want to keep themselves within that board, they have to show their worth now. They have to show that they're worth their position, and the ones that they've decided to keep themselves in, and they have to make changes, and they have to make them now, literally right this very second. They have to do it. Nicky, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us, mate. Maybe when we appointed Philippe Clement, we've still got that wee black book of candidates lying around. Maybe we left that around and we can just open that up, score Frank Lampard off, and maybe move on to the next candidate, or Muscat, maybe. I could get on board with that. I look at his team in China. They're scoring 3 and 4 goals a game. That'd be a good laugh, right? You might not win everything, but listen, we'd have good fun watching his batter teams and score 4 and 5 goals every week. But hey ho, no, it's a pleasure, mate, to go on. Obviously, not under the best circumstances after yesterday's result, but hey ho, it's the way we are at the minute, mate, and we're obviously just being honest in our opinions of and our assessment of where we think we're at the minute and what we should be doing next.
Yeah, and say people that do watch a pod will know that I'm never usually like this. It takes a lot for me to end up like at this point. But I'm just at the point where I'm going, nah, absolutely not.
Ryan Hemash is sitting applauding you in Turkey right now, mate.
Probably.
You can't believe this.
Yeah, probably. It's I've went full Haymarch, mate. I really have, and I say that's just the way I am just now, and this is the way I felt. And I honestly thought after today I would maybe get a wee bit of a change of opinion about things, but I haven't. I really haven't at all. I'm exactly the same, and I don't know what's next. And so it's usually nice having a bit of not knowing about the unknown, about what you're going into in terms of a new manager, new style, blah blah blah. But when you've got a manager saying there, this is the first time these players have played on a plastic pitch, really, Phil? Really? That's what you're going to come out with, mate? Really? Yeah. So as I say, it takes a lot for me to get to this point, but I am there now.
Do you know what my challenge back would be? Do you know what my challenge back would be, Scott? Well, that's on you, mate, right? You knew this was coming. You knew this has been coming for months when the fixture list came out. It's your job to get them prepared.
There's a 4G pitch at Walking Howe as well.
Of course there is.
Yeah, so they've never seen a plastic pitch before. Never.
No, that's bizarre.
Bizarre. So yes, not the most positive of a podcast, everybody. I do really apologise for that, but it is what it is, and I will always be honest on this pod, forever be honest on this podcast, and I'll never be sorry for it. I'll genuinely never be sorry for it. So we will be back on Thursday by hook or by crook, or whatever happens on Thursday will happen. We'll bring you a reaction after that. So try and enjoy your week as much as you can. We'll speak to you on Thursday. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.